A man is about to fall from a tall building in NYC. No matter how impressive New York gets, someone is always out there hustling like mad to build something. When you think about how many small businesses fail here every year, it's a miracle people even try. Most days, Peter finds that inspiring, even when those small businesses occasionally try to burn him to a crisp. As the journalist's belongings tumble down alongside him, Spider-Man uses his webs to swing forward, making his way towards Kevin. But today, Spidey isn't feeling it. Today, life feels downright stupid. Spidey manages to ensnare Kevin in his webs and uses his other hand to grab onto a nearby building, ensuring a safe landing. But just as he's about to breathe, a villain appears behind him. Kevin, now cradled in Spider-Man's grip, stammers in disbelief. Sparky? Spidey liked the linkage, but that's more of a puppy name. Meanwhile, the villain at the back roars, "I told you my name, idiot, it's Burnout!" He propels himself towards Spidey in a fiery leap. Burnout? Sounds like someone who's already given up, Spidey retorts, his voice sharp with clarity. Your career's just begun, the words come out. But inside, he's battling his own demons. He's exhausted. Even thinking makes the inside of his skull itch. Everything hurts. Spidey is in chronic pain. The reason is mostly dipsticks like Burnout, who thinks shooting homebrewed napalm at him point blank is a clever idea. Spidey still tries to explore non-punching interests with friends. He discusses photography with Randy, who excitedly tells Peter Parker that his photography has earned a spot in his first art gallery show. Randy is thrilled, especially since he'll get 10% of the earnings as Peter's agent. Peter is more preoccupied with the wallet he recently lost. Meanwhile, as Spider-Man shields himself from Burnout's attacks by weaving his webs into a rounded shield, he critiques the villain's blasts. Spidey thinks it's close, but the blasts are pretty light, not warm enough. He wonders if maybe Burnout should change his name to Lukewarm. As Spidey drags Kevin through the sky, he notices Kevin has caught his camera midair. "Good catch, Kevin," he calls out. Kevin thanks him, and Spidey, ever the multitasker, throws out another name suggestion mid-swing. Spidey suggests that Burnout should consider names like The Hotness or Charmageddon. He pauses, realizing that it's probably a Pokemon. Kevin isn't just happy to have survived, he's thrilled to have caught the vinyl. Spidey tries his best to date, even though it's not easy balancing his double life. He takes Shay to the record store, and she's genuinely shocked that he hasn't run off during the 95 minutes they've been there. Parker, however, suddenly pats his pockets and realizes his phone is missing. He asks Shay if she's seen it, admitting that he's been quite forgetful lately. Back to the present, Kevin catches a letter from Aunt May that had been falling. Spidey cheers him on, hyping him up for his quick reflexes. "Kevin, you are the king!" he exclaims. Right at this moment, Spidey decides to toss another name suggestion at Burnout. He teases, suggesting Kelvinator, thinking it sounds so science-y. He follows up with another idea. He wonders if Inflammable might be a better option for a new villain name. The latter suggestion visibly irritates Burnout, who yells at Spider-Man to shut up, his frustration now hitting its peak. Aunt May? Spidey always tries his best to please her. As she kisses Parker on the cheek, she asks if he's sure he can deposit what she's giving him today. Feast needs to clear checks for their share. Parker assures her he can handle it, as soon as he finds his keys. Keeping all of this together, his responsibilities, his promises, his double life, is hard for Spidey. Meanwhile, Spidey pulls Kevin forward, and Kevin clings tightly to his back. "I got it all! What now?" Kevin exclaims. "Now we extinguish the nameless wonder and get on with our lives." "Firebird," Spidey suggests, only to immediately realize that the name is already taken. Before they can debate further, Burnout reappears and transforms into a flock of birds. As they stand on the edge of a building, Kevin looks on in disbelief. Did Burnout turn into birds because you hit him that hard? He wonders aloud. Spidey reassures him with a smirk. Nah, that's not the case. Also, nice Scott Pilgrim reference. Family reference, Kevin adds. "Spider-Man," says a deep, raspy voice. It's Dr. Doom. He tells Spidey that he requires his meager services at the summons of Earth's Sorcerer Supreme. Doom stands there, arms crossed, with a lavish red cape billowing dramatically in the wind. His towering build and armored body exude power and menace as he gazes down at Spider-Man with an air of supreme authority. Doom, the infamous dictator of Latveria, isn't just a political tyrant anymore. After tricking Doctor Strange into passing him the mantle of Sorcerer Supreme, He's gained a magical glow-up that makes Spidey's skin crawl. There's not a thing anyone can do about it. Kevin, on the other hand, screams his lungs out at the sight of Doom. Spider-Man can't really blame him. He thinks it's a perfectly appropriate response. However, seeing Doom pop up like this makes Spidey's bladder clench. It also makes him really mad. Kevin drops all his belongings in sheer terror. "My dude, one job." Spidey sighs, quickly helping Kevin. Kevin, still wide-eyed, stammers, "That's Dr. Freaking Doom!" "Yes, it freaking is," Spidey responds. He advises Kevin to take the rest of the day off. Doom, however, wastes no time and begins berating Spider-Man. He calls him inefficient, unfocused, and immature, stating that Spider-Man rarely warrants Doom's attention. But now disappointment is an understatement for what Doom feels. It's not the worst thing Spidey's been called today. Spidey couldn't care less and asks Doom what he wants. Doom, ever the egotist, praises himself before continuing. In his magnanimity, he has chosen Spider-Man for a matter of great importance, a task for which Spider-Man uniquely is suited, a task in which he must prevail. Spidey stands there, speechless, his arms crossed as he processes Doom's words. Doom, misreading his silence, smugly inquires if Spider-Man's stunned quiet is due to the weight of understanding the gravity of his words. Spidey cuts him off. Spider-Man says he was just trying to come up with an eloquent way to tell Doom to shove it. He acknowledges Doom used magnanimity correctly in a sentence, giving him credit for that. But then he adds, "Get rusted, you Timu Doctor Strange knockoff." Doom is the opposite of happy. "You dare defy the words of Doom," he growls, his voice dripping with anger as he clenches his fists. Spider-Man confidently replies that he sure is defying the word of Doom, and he can throw in some more swear words if that'll make it extra official. Doom, now seething, declares he is going to break the Covenant. Spidey has no idea what that means, but he's pleased this showdown seems to have wrapped up so quickly. With that, Spidey shifts his focus to dealing with burnout. Later, Spidey tries to put the fact that he stood up to one of the scariest human beings on the planet out of his mind. Instead, he moves on to a different kind of terror. He's lost some of Aunt May's money. Feeling guilty, he promises to pay her back with his next paycheck. Aunt May, ever patient, caresses his cheek and gently tells him to get his life together. Before Spidey can respond, there's a knock at the door. It's Shay and Randy. Randy found Shay, the beautiful stalker, wandering the hallway. Shay smiles and explains she was searching for her missing lunch date, who wasn't at the agreed-upon spot. Spidey grins sheepishly. "I figured we could all eat together," he suggests. Aunt May, sipping her tea, chimes in. "We just ate." Spidey quickly counters, saying that true, but everyone gets consolation prizes. Spidey hands out their gifts, though they're all burned, of course. He quickly excuses himself to the bathroom, and everyone immediately recognizes this as Peter Parker's signature move for escaping awkward situations. Once, when Peter forgot the rent, he hid out in the bathroom for 2 whole weeks. Shay thought he had an actual problem, but soon realized he was just full of crap. Aunt May likes Shay for calling Peter out. Spidey, meanwhile, makes his way to the rooftop, where he runs into Spider-Boy. Exhausted, he vents about his chaotic life and asks the Spider-Boy if he has anything to say about his existential crisis. Spider-Boy shrugs and responds, "I'm 10. Instead, Spider-Boy suggests getting ice cream, stating it makes everything better, except diabetes. Spidey can't help but find the kid wise beyond his years. Suddenly, they hear a loud boom. Spider-Boy eagerly gears up for action, but Spidey holds him back. "That's a 7 or maybe an 8 on the spider scale," he explains. "You're still level 3. Before they can argue further, a red beast appears, introducing himself as Sintros. He immediately begins wreaking havoc, smashing structures, and sending people fleeing in terror. Spidey doesn't waste a second. He shoots a web onto the beast's face and delivers a powerful kick across his jaw. The beast roars in anger, throwing debris at Spidey and bellowing, "Be gone, insect!" Spidey retaliates, smashing objects into Sintros, who only grows angrier. He calls Spidey an insect, and the beast snarls before launching Spidey into a nearby building. Spidey slams against the walls with a loud wham. As Spidey deals with the damage, Doom suddenly appears. Doom announces that this is the task he has bestowed upon Spider-Man, his voice booming. Spider-Man didn't think gravity would be weaponized literally. Doom offers Spidey to accept this task and you will receive his aid. Desperate and with no other options, Spidey agrees. Doom tells Spidey to pay attention. Doom narrates that during the Age of Strange, the young Sorcerer Supreme explored magnificence and quickly discovered the limits of his human power. To guard Earth from endless threats, he required aid systems to support his efforts. Doom, of course, would never require such systems. While studying the histories of the Darkhold, Strange uncovered the Crimson Casket of Sidorak. The Crimson God Sidorak was immovable in both body and mind. Strange eventually forged a covenant with Sidorak, but soon learned that in exchange for erecting the casket and protecting the earthly realms, he had to commit to defeating the 8 scions of Sidorak. Strange armed himself with the sacred reeds of Ragador, artifacts that ensured he would be reborn and thus never truly lose. The contests against the 8 scions were grueling to say the least, yet Strange prevailed every time. Now, the need for a different champion has arisen. Someone clever and tenacious, someone willing to put the needs of others above their own, someone familiar with pain. As Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, Doom declares Spider-Man the new champion in the Covenant of Sidorak. He will face the Scions of Sidorak as Doom's bannerman, armed with tools to aid him. Arcane armor, and 8 life-restoring sacred reeds of Ragador. At this moment, Spider-Man is at a complete loss for words. He feels the infinite weave of the mystical universe coursing through his body, overwhelming yet undeniable. Spider-Man engages in fierce combat with Sintros, shooting webs at him as Sintros retaliates with immense force. Spidey counters by creating a barrier to shield himself. The two lock into an epic battle, with Sintros striking relentlessly while Spidey dodges every attack with incredible agility. During the fight, Sintros slips up and inadvertently reveals the source of his power, a black heart core, essentially a miniature black hole. Spidey realizes he needs to overload and destroy it. "Here comes the magical choo-choo! Open wide!" yells Spidey as he lunges to punch the core, but instead of shattering it, Spidey gets sucked in. His body stretches and compresses as he's pulled into the gravity well of the black hole, the overwhelming forces threatening to tear him apart on an atomic level. In the void, a man appears, introducing himself as Phil Coulson, otherwise known as Death. As the new embodiment of Death, he explains that his role is to guide Spider-Man safely and as painlessly as possible into the afterlife. Coulson checks his documents, startled to see Spider-Man's name. When he notices that Spidey holds one of the reeds of Ragador, he apologizes profusely. But Spider-Man is only flesh and bones, screaming in agony as his body twists and breaks at the atomic level. His blood-curdling scream echoes in the void. Later, in the quiet of his room, this moment will haunt him as he relives the agony of his rebirth. Spidey dies, a body torn and broken beyond comprehension, but the reeds of Ragador activates, reversing the natural order, forcing his atoms to reform and his muscles to reknit. The process works, but nothing in magic comes without a price. The cost is pain indescribable, unimaginable pain. As Spidey regains consciousness, he pleads for help, looking to his side and finding Dr. Strange standing beside him. Dr. Strange assures him that he is perfectly alive and healthy. But then, grimly, he adds that the bad news is Spider-Man still has to defeat the remaining Scions of Sidorak. He will likely die and be reborn several more times, and if he doesn't succeed, the Earth will fall,